Hello, everybody. Today I have another beautiful female guest called Helen Hampton, who is from my homeland, the UK. Nice. Um, yeah, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Yeah. Um, so I thought we could start with some of your story, just because I don't know so much about your story. I've heard so many beautiful things about you. One thing that I've heard a lot about is your Sangha, like people really appreciating that you've got a really beautiful online Sangha. Um, yeah, but I don't know so much about your story or how you got into this subject. So I'd love to hear where it all started, if there is a point. Yeah, but the sort of seeming point in this
Yeah,
life.
I think the major turning point was after the third of my four children was born. I had this really deep depression, and I think it had been going on for a while, but it just kind of reached this um, point where I either had to, start going back up again, or or who knows. But I think in hindsight, it was the beginning of my awakening. Just some kind of uh, I don't know, hopelessness or something inside. And um, there's all throughout my whole life, there was a lot of fear. I just remember feeling fear as the constant, almost constant background of every experience I would have, and I could never really figure out why. And after the children were born, um, I suppose, like a lot of people, just kind of lost myself in being a mother for a while, and there's just this hole that was growing inside that was I don't know what word to use, but you've probably felt something similar. Like there's something missing here. There's something that I'm not getting something, and I couldn't seem to find that from uh, my life as it was at the time. There was something missing is perhaps the best way I could phrase it, and I tried a lot of things to try to fill that that hole. Eventually stumbled upon meditation as part of my recovery from the depression, along with some really good therapy, etc. And I kind of I did this guided meditation that my friend gave me. She gave me this CDs we had back then, and she said, "Try this." And I was really, really embarrassed. It wasn't like I thought meditation was for well, definitely not for me, but I was so desperate to feel better that I tried it anyway. And I just remember there was like 20 minutes of this immense bliss, this overwhelming feeling of bliss. And I was just crying and crying, and I was like, what on earth is this? And I want this, of course. I want it all the time. And I told my friends, this meditation thing is great, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So I sat down the next day to meditate, and of course, instead of bliss, there was just all of this frustration and anger and everything that seemed to need to come up. But something had changed inside. There was, I realized that feeling is what I'd wanted, that inside, feeling content even just for a moment. I'd never felt that before. So I set out on this, I don't know, journey, path, whatever we call this, trying to find what that was and how to get it back. And over about the next 10 years, it kind of gradually came to um, some constant peace. Took a lot of meditation, looking at my thoughts that were in the way of the peace, and somehow just stumbled into a realization of what seems to work. I read every single book and pathway, every religion, every philosophy ever I could get my hands on. I had like I guess most people, a big, huge bookcase um, full of books that I was just desperate for answers, reading all the contemporary teachers, watching thousands of hours of Muji and Adyashanti and right back to the Upanishads and anything I could devour really. Um, and then some kind of peace started to come, like I was saying, and I didn't even care about the bliss at this point. I was just desperate to stop suffering, to feel better. And I realized somehow I could hear this kind of silence in the background all the time, and it never seemed to go away then. And just got more and more moved to the foreground over the next 3 or 4 years as I kind of looked at the thoughts that were in the way of this peace being constant. Um, and then I kind of just, started telling everyone. I don't know if you went through this phase too. Like I found this silence, and just I guess I naively thought that everyone around me would want to know, and um, it really wasn't like that. But I had a few friends who were interested, and we just started meeting in a local cafe on a Wednesday afternoon, talking about this. Kind of accidentally somehow slid into teaching. And they said you should do more of this. You've got a way of explaining it that's helpful. So, yeah, fast forward another 5 or 6 years to try and find my confidence and get over a sense of unworthiness at teaching. And finally, I kind of recognized this is what wants to happen here, how life wants to express itself. So it was a strange path. I never really felt comfortable with teaching. It's only very recently that I've actually felt I had this confidence, and we now have this. It's like an online ashram, I guess, over WhatsApp because I didn't have any support when I was kind of waking up. I didn't know anyone else that was trying to find who they really were, and it was just desperately lonely. I thought, if we could do something about that and support each other, it's so much better. I think it's easier walking the path together with other people for sure. So life just seemed to want to push me in this direction. This is what I was supposed to be doing, and I think I finally just stopped resisting.
Yeah. So you did all of this meditation and search when you had 4 young children.
Yeah, I mean it was the really when I first started meditating, I wasn't trying to wake up to the truth. I just wanted to get through the day because I
Mhm.
was drinking a lot of alcohol at the time, and still very depressed. So it wasn't I'm gonna find the truth. It was I just need to somehow find a way to make it
Mm,
through the day, and that's really where it started from. But it
mm,
just became a habit to meditate, and I found life just seemed to go a lot easier when I did meditate.
yeah.
And I had to, I think I got up around 4:30 in the morning because that was the only time I had when the kids were small to meditate. But I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going to make it without the meditation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's really interesting. You hear this often, like people meditate for the first time and have some experience. When I first meditated, meditation was my way into this. I was
Hmm.
practicing Buddhist for 5 or 6 years. And yeah, my mind was hell. It was hell the first time I tried to meditate. I didn't experience more peaceful states for years, into the meditation, but somehow there was such an attraction to it.
I think sometimes we get this um, little taster to get us hooked into it, so we're willing to pay whatever price and in our beliefs, like to go beyond or overcome whatever challenges we need to. We sometimes it seems that some of us get this little taster,
Yeah.
a teaser trailer
Yeah.
before to say, hey, it's worth putting the work in. But like you said, it would have got me anyway. I think there was just something, even if all awakening ever gave me was this peace, that would be more than enough,
Mm.
because there's just something so rich and full there, that I think once you've tasted that, it's very hard to live without it.
Yeah. And so you would get up an hour before the kids, and what type of meditation would you do?
Back in those days, we were doing a Condolini meditation. I just, it's literally the same one my friend gave me on this CD. And it's the only one I knew, and I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that somehow my energy seemed to be stronger or better or something. And we would just, I would just close my eyes and look at my third eye, with my eyes rolled up, and um, it somehow it helped me to have more stability in my life. But it didn't really help me deal with what meditation brought to the surface, the emotions and things like that. So I could experience some really nice states in meditation eventually. But as soon as I came out away from the meditation, back into, the kids being small and not having enough money, and there was just all this fear coming right back again. And I think that's what finally pushed me deeper into looking at teachers like Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramana and, other contemporary teachers today. I realized there was something missing from my understanding. And that was actually having a direct experience of who I am. I was still very much Helen being a person trying to get to some peace, and that wasn't working out so well.
Mm. And how did you find that? Like, was that before it was really popular on the internet? Not as popular, but more popular, or people recommended it to you, or
Yeah, I think I just stumbled across, like a lot of people on YouTube, an Adyashanti video, and I've been watching hundreds and hundreds of hours of Muji satsangs. But there was this one video of Adyashanti's, and he said, actually have a look and see if you can find this person that's trying to wake up. And I thought, well, that's crazy. What on earth are you talking about? But something inside me had to look, and I still remember that feeling the first time I realized that I'm not at all who I thought I was. This whole person that had been on this long journey, it just was not there. And it was so shocking, actually quite scary at first, but also really exciting. It's like there's a fresh start somehow. Um, and it took me a good while to actually look again afterwards because I was scared for quite some time, because I had no way of, um, all my reference points were gone, right? I'm sure you hear it quite often, but the journey I thought I was on, I couldn't quite believe it again with such intensity after that first seeing. And it was kind of in no man's land for a while, didn't really know. I'm not what I thought I was, but I haven't really discovered what I actually am yet. And so it took me a little while to gain the courage to look again. Um, but this time when I looked again, the second, and I looked many times, then there was that same peace that I found in the meditation temporarily. It was just there. So it kept pulling me back to look and look again. And gradually it came to be more and more clear that this is what I've always been. This is what everyone is. This same kind of this one being that's um, appearing as all of this.
then Ramesh Balsakar. I don't know if you know him. He's the translator of
Yeah.
Nisargadatta Maharaj. He was my teacher and my teacher's teacher, and he used to say, when you begin to look inwards and it begins to deconstruct, and you taste that, your head is like in the tiger's mouth. There's nothing else for you to do because naturally there will be an urge to go in again, to
Mhm.
yeah, to look again.
Yeah. It's like you've uncovered something, and it won't rest then until it's fully realized or something, right?
Mm.
Even if you don't like it or don't want it, it's still going anyway. And there's
Yeah.
this moment where I kind of realized I feel like I've been chasing this awakening thing, whatever it is, and suddenly it seemed like the other way around, like, wait a minute. I mean, it's funny now, but it wasn't at the time. It felt very I felt, the separate sense of someone felt very much out of control of the whole thing.
Maybe that was more intense for you because you're also a mother of four children.
Yeah.
So there was like a very strong role that you were needed for.
Yeah. It was actually really difficult, yeah, because I really desperately wanted to like go deeper into this silence, this formless whatever it is that we are. But it didn't really feel safe to do so because I didn't even think I would care about anything in the world afterwards. And how could I be a good parent? And all these things kept coming up. Finally, after a lot of suffering, I realized this is who I've always been. I've never been this person, so it can't really be a bad thing to let go deeper into it. But it took me a while to come to that realization. And just to finally be able to be a parent without all the insecurities and the sense of not being good enough was just so very different, very different. Took a little while to fully let go, but it didn't really matter because I wasn't suffering by that point. There was this kind of whatever emotion arose or whatever happened in the external world, it was just met with this silence, this non-resistance, and you just experience what you're experiencing. And as the separate self is falling away, there's just less and less capacity to resist anything. Life just kind of flows then more and more.
Mm. And with the body and the fear, how did you find that that was processed through the body? Did you do emotional release techniques or trauma work, or did it just naturally begin to leave?
Um, some of it just kind of left on its own, but things like fear, there was a lot of fear and anger, tremendous amount of anger, um, that I just did not know what to do with. And I remember one day sitting, um, and I was watching Byron Katie, some Byron Katie's work, the work, you probably heard of it. And also some Adyashanti again, he was saying that if I'm going to write down what I know to be true on a piece of paper. Described he was in a coffee shop or something, and he said he would only write down what he knew to be true. He wouldn't write anything else. And he used this kind of process where he took himself step by step into a deeper truth with the emotion. So I'm really angry. Okay, I don't really know that's true. I know there's anger, like a lot of anger, and and then I don't really know that it's anger, it's just a sensation, a strong sensation. And it was just kind of, and I remember this feeling one day after listening to that of just being this real strong idea that I can't get what I want. Um, it was like this thought kept going around my head. And then something just asked inside, is that really true, actually? And it was like, I don't know, a whole new world opened up. Like I'd never actually thought to question these things. Every time I felt some sense of shame, there'd be this deep sense that I don't deserve happiness or don't even deserve to exist. Fear, this constant sense that I'm in danger, I'm not safe. And this voice was just like, well, this thought came, is it really true? And began to sit with that and even just asking that question, is it true I'm not safe? Or I can't, is it true I can't get what I want? There was some kind of relief and the emotional charge of it seemed to start to dissipate. So started to just ask this question every time an emotion arose. And I realized that the emotion was a reflection of this idea that belonged to the old sense of self, the someone. Um, and from the perspective of being a person or someone, it seemed very true that I'm not safe or can't get what I want, I don't deserve happiness, all those ideas. But from the recognition of who I really am, it was so obviously not true. And I realized actually just because I'm seeing who I really am doesn't mean this old way of thinking disappears. Uh, like we're still programmed to think as a person still. And I don't know about you, but I had this magical idea that upon seeing who I was, all that would just go away.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I had that idea there.
So it just took some consistent questioning, which we now call contemplation, just to sit with the question, allow all of the answers. And it's just somehow by challenging the idea, we can't believe a thought and question if it's true at the same time. They're opposites, so to speak. So just to gently question it and consistently for 30 days or whenever it comes up, then we just break that habit of thinking in the old way. Um, and the thought might still be there, I can't get what I want, but you don't have any capacity left to kind of grasp onto it. And then there's not the negative emotion around it as well.
Mm. Well, the fighting, internal fighting.
It was a lifesaver because I didn't know how to stop thinking like a person, even though I'd
Mm.
seen I wasn't one. So
Mm. And when was it that you got to do this? Like when you've got 4 kids, it's I imagine I don't have kids, but I've looked after friends' kids, which I think is no comparison. But yeah, there's
sometimes in the shower, sometimes when they were taking a nap, sometimes while driving somewhere. But I mean, they were a little bit older at this point as well, so it's just starting to get a little more time when they were at school and things like that. So, uh, and sometimes it's actually helpful when you don't have very much time at all to do any spiritual practice. You don't have time to procrastinate or anything. You just have to do it, and you
right.
take those moments when you find them. So. It wasn't always a disadvantage. In fact, some ways I think it was a huge advantage. I had to find a way to um, begin to live from where what I was seeing myself to be. Just couldn't I couldn't take that polarity anymore of living with these old fearful thoughts and all of that, and recognizing that that's not who I am, but still going back into it out of habit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's such immediacy, in having kids. It's so you you have to turn up, and
Yeah,
then and then and then at the same time, like you say, in order to turn up, you have to do the practice. So
yeah.
it's done. There's no thinking about it or getting distracted on YouTube or
Oh, I
yeah,
did that too, of course, you know.
yeah,
Like everyone, I
yeah,
suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I understand that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just have to really appreciate that we can let strangers and the strangers in we've only just met and feeling safe enough to allow silence to arise.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. So I appreciate you for that.
And I love that you are not afraid to just be silent when you need to.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's perhaps one of the best gifts of awakening as it deepens, just that being able to be comfortable without having to fill that space.
Mm. And to be someone, like often being someone is because we're afraid of
Mhm.
the other person. We're trying to fill in what the other person might think. It never works.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, I'd have been desperately wondering how this conversation is going and do you like me and all of those stuff, you know. Now it's just nice to just be with you. It's
Mm,
beautiful.
mm. And before, was your personality quite an introvert?
Yeah. I still am really, if I'm honest, I'm actually, you perhaps you won't believe this, but I'm really quite shy. Um, I'd rather always much more comfortable sitting in my home here with 3 or 4 people than running a big retreat. But uh, there's also something um, I think exciting about being on that edge of your own growth, you know, not totally outside your comfort zone, but just a little bit, just pushing a little bit past where you might normally stop.
Yeah,
Um, you know what I mean?
yeah. And I feel like um, the internet age is giving more shy or introverted people a chance to express, because in the past, in order to do something like that, you'd have had to been out socializing in order to create a group in order for that to happen. So it would
Mhm.
be more extroverted people that would tend to be teachers.
Yeah,
And now I really appreciate about the internet is that more introverted people can do it, because you know you you don't you can just put your teaching out there. You can just speak, and people can resonate with it at their own pace. It's not like you have to go and convince and create help or anything. There's a different way of it now with the internet.
yeah. For many years I hid here. I was, you know, this was my safe space. I always felt uh, at the very least nervous, at the very most, you know, terrified of being around other people. So I would spend a lot of time on my own at home. And I still do now, but it's because I like that rather than, you know, being not being able to be with other beings. But I think naturally I would my favorite place to be is on the sofa in my pajamas in the evening, you know. So that's just me, and it's nice not to feel that I need to change that or anything, you know. It's where we're most comfortable.
Yeah. So, with your family and with people around you, do they notice the change, or what happened in the relationships with others?
Um, my youngest daughter, she's quite awakened herself, so um, we have some pretty amazing conversations now. I think I'm maybe catching up to her a bit. Um, but my mom and my sister, they're not really on the path, consciously at least. I suppose everyone is, but not consciously. So I think they're just glad that I'm happy somehow for some reason, you know, and doing what I want to do with my life. You know, so that's enough for me. I mean, as a parent myself, you just want to know that your children are happy. So my relationships have um, all improved really. My sister and I are closer than we've ever been, and yeah, I mean, it's some people left my life as awakening kind of started to really deepen, and that was okay. You know, it's some people stayed with me, some new friends came. You know, like life does that anyway, but there seemed to be this changeover period where new people started to come into my life a bit more, who were also uh, interested in waking up and perhaps moving away from some beings. No, not consciously, just kind of drifting apart mostly, where we didn't really have so much in common anymore. Um, but if again, it felt right. So it just felt like I wanted a simpler life as well. just like we were saying, more um, yeah, quieter and simpler.
Mm.
You probably found similar things happening in your life, right? As it deepens, there's just more contentment wherever you are, and there's not this need for stimulation all the time to try to feel better or something.
Mm. Yeah, totally.
Mm.
Yeah. Sometimes that's challenging I find, for people around me because you're so self-contented.
Yeah.
The self, the big self, is just so contented, and so there tends to be such a big urge to rest there, and
Yeah.
so you're not so exciting for people, or
Yeah.
you make them insecure, which is sad. Like,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was saying about some people left my life. And it's okay. It didn't feel okay at the time. There was a lot of resistance to it, but there's a recognition deep down that not everyone is ready, or surprisingly, not everyone knows what to do when you're happy, when you're peaceful. Somehow it throws some people off some way. Um, yeah, and others are kind of drawn to it as well, as I'm sure you've experienced. They want that too. They okay, what did you do to get that?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not knowing what to do with the happiness.
Yeah,
Because
yes.
sometimes I find that humans form relationships on problems. So then
Hmm.
when that begins to dissipate, then yeah, they don't always know how to interact without having problems. Not that
Hmm.
problems don't arise, but more like psychological problems and internal suffering rather than problems of daily life.
Yeah, stuff happens, but we're not trying to make a identity out of it anymore. And
Yeah.
I think it's a very new way of interacting human beings. We're used to, like you say, it's almost like it's problems talking to problems about problems,
Yeah.
and no real conversation is happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's most often it's a relief for most people. I think that they don't have to constantly reinforce their sense of someone because you're not doing it either. They can just kind of not know what to say for the first time in a very long time, perhaps.
Mm.
And to have that totally accepted, I think is quite a gift. We can give each other more and more. Just totally okay if we don't say anything. Or we might talk about the weather or something, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so deeply relaxing for me to be with somebody that can sink into that silence. It's very enjoyable.
Same here. Um, I was in the supermarket one day, and there was a woman who was trying to reach some on a shelf, some laundry detergent, and um, she was going to ask me, but I'm quite short too, so we just ended up laughing when she saw my height. I was smaller than she was. We ended up having this conversation about laundry detergent, which one was the best. And it was a real open, honest conversation. And we were laughing, and then we just kind of stood there for a while. And you could see that she'd never felt okay to do that. Like she just did not have to speak. And it was this beautiful moment. Um, I don't really know how long we just stood there for, but she said, "Oh, you're a really good listener, and hope to see you again." And we went our separate ways, but it was just really nice to find that somewhere out there in the world as well, that someone was willing to just stop with me, just to be there with me. It was really nice.
Just be really vulnerable and naked.
Yeah. I mean, laundry detergent, but it was quite a deep, rich, intimate conversation in a strange way.
Yeah. So, if we move on to your teaching, so how do you find that you teach people or guide people? Do you have methods or do you have a way, or is it very unique to each person?
I just try to teach from my own experience what worked for me, which was this kind of combination of meditation, as we've spoken about, contemplation, challenging the ideas that come up, and that, from the old separate sense of self, and then self-inquiry. And we're ready to go a little faster and a little deeper. Um, and we just kind of put them together into four lessons that take us deeper into that anyone can just plug in and follow along. Um, and really just teaching from what worked for me, with a lot of figuring out what didn't work for me, trying to make it more simple and direct. And um, I think if you teach from what you know to be true, what you've experienced yourself, then it has a certain authenticity and power to it that
Mm,
can really make a difference in someone's life. And just relaxing into that, people take as long as they need to just get comfortable with how we do the meditation and learning to contemplate and all of that. There's a wonderful support network now, which is growing all over the world. So it's really, really quite beautiful. There's always someone there to, whatever time of day it is, to support you.
and that's through WhatsApp. You can everyone communicates through WhatsApp, or
Yeah, I mean, we do obviously classes over Zoom as well. And there's a whole growing archive of 3 or 4 years now of classes, and community that's growing. But there's also this WhatsApp. Um, they call it the online ashram.
yeah,
um, Different groups for different subjects. Some like a group for meditation, a group for contemplation, things like that, and just where people can share and get support from each other, because I think it's so very important to do that. For those that want to share, it can be and to get encouragement and upliftment when it's difficult. It's not always it's quite often not easy, as I'm sure you remember. So
yeah.
just
And
to
it's
have
such a
someone there to say you can do this.
yeah, it's such a solo path in a way. So
Mm,
to have that, I feel like a lot of people that I meet really long for more of a community.
yeah, yeah. And WhatsApp, it isn't perfect, but it's a way that we can all stay in touch with each other, wherever we are in the world. It just, you feel more connected then a little bit, so it's
Mm.
good. It's more like a family than anything.
Yeah, really beautiful. And with the meditation, what type of meditation do you do? I'm a lover of meditation because that was my way in, through Buddhism.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, so the one that really worked for me to find some kind of peace and stability was to simply learn to bring attention back to what is real. So we have like we call them 14 doorways, but they're really just names for the real being, silence, stillness, awareness, beingness, all pointing to the same, whatever this is. But sometimes a different name can be more helpful. Someone might feel more able to listen to the silence, or to be aware of awareness, or to rest in the beingness. Because it occurred to me that um, for the longest time I was trying to be aware of awareness, but I couldn't really grasp what they meant by awareness, different teachers. But then I heard this word stillness and silence. I thought I can somehow connect with that easier.
mm,
So I just practice 20 minutes a day. And we're sitting, and let's say a thought pops up. Um, we notice the thought, And then we notice the silence that's the thought is arising in, or we notice if there's an emotion, and then we bring attention to that, which is watching the emotion. It's just a very gentle practice. We're not fighting with any thoughts or phenomena or anything like that. We're not trying to get rid of anything. We're just using the phenomena when they arise to point us back to that which is seeing it, which is our real being. And every time our attention wanders, which it does always, just to bring it back is enough. And it doesn't matter if we have to bring attention back once or 100 times in that 20 minutes, it's still a success. And you can even do this with resistance or physical pain. You can notice what is noticing it. Very simple meditation, but I found it very, very effective for me. So when my attention is on what's real, we can't suffer then. Even if the body's in pain, we can't resist it, which helps, of course.
I really liked that what you said about it's a success no matter what. That's something that they drummed into me when I first started meditating. Like even if you have a hellish, what you consider a hellish meditation, like it's always a success. It's never like, oh, I did something wrong, or
Yeah.
you're always in celebration that there's an openness even to attempt, like even to be prepared.
Yeah. I think life helped me destroy these ideas of what a good and a bad meditation was. Uh, so one thing we focus on is a good meditation is one that you show up for, even if it, like you say, it's just going crazy. I remember one time when I was still really, really seeking, and my mind was just going insane. And I remember this last thought I had of, I'm just not going to reach that peace today. It's just not going to happen. And something just gave up trying in that. Next thing I know, 20 minutes had gone by and I was in this really deep state. So it kind of fell into place, and it's not about trying to change anything. It's just being with what is. And if that's the craziness going on between our ears, then can we just be with that a little more by bringing attention to what's seeing it, than that which is seeing it, awareness, consciousness, whatever we call it. It doesn't need it to change. It can't resist it. It's totally going to let the mind be how it is. And the moment you do that, the mind kind of calms down somehow. That was a huge thing to realize for me.
Yeah. Really blissed me out when you were speaking. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree.
It is such a myth in the human consciousness that meditation is about quieting the mind. I think it took me a long time to really see that's not it. That's never going to work. In fact, that makes it worse somehow, makes the mind more active.
Mm.
Beautiful silence.
Mm. So beautifully you mentioned Adyashanti, in this experience. I had an experience with Adyashanti as well. It really sort of had the awakening to the awareness stuff. But then suddenly he said, God is looking out of your eyes now. And suddenly when you just suddenly, and everything went very still and silent,
Mm.
and it's really, it's so beautiful to think of all the people that he's that body has affected, body. Like just
Yeah.
such gratitude to all the teachers that came before and did all of this.
Yeah. Oh, we would just be, well, I'd be completely lost without them. And I was lucky enough to be able to go see him twice. The first time just for an hour talk in London, and I just spent the whole time crying. The moment he looked at me, he was looking at everyone, one by one. Something There was something looking out of his eyes that I'd never really felt before at that point, and I think I was still crying 3 hours later, leaving. Some shift or something going on.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And again, he was just comfortable with that silence.
And you saw him again? You went on retreat or a talk?
Yeah, a retreat. I had no money, so my friend lent me the money to go on retreat with him, a 5-day silent retreat. About a year after that, and there were so many amazing things about that. But I remember asking one question. I was brave enough to stand in with a microphone and ask one question. My legs were shaking and I was so scared. Um, and I was asking him, when is this mind stuff gonna stop? Like, I've seen that it's not real, and I know who I am, but when is this gonna stop, this mind stuff, this old way of being? And he was compassionate enough to say to me, it will stop when it stops. Like, basically, there's nothing you need to do about it, and nothing you can do about it. And I think if he'd have said anything else, I would have run off with that and tried to make it into another strategy or something.
Yeah.
But he just said it will stop when it stops.
Mm.
And there was something that was really angry. Like, I didn't say this, cause that's not a good answer. That doesn't help, my mindset. But there was also this, oh, yeah, it will stop when it stops. Um, it was just the first time I'd ever done 5 days in silence, and a very different experience than I've ever had. The first day my mind went completely insane,
Yeah.
completely. The second and third days, a little bit. And then the fourth and fifth, I didn't want to speak again.
Yeah. I used to find this like there's this point when you get over it, and then but the point up to that is I suppose it's like coming off a drug or something.
Yeah, the first day, I'm all right, I can do this. The second day, I am never coming to a retreat again, ever. Fourth day, when's the next one? When can I sign up,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that tipping point where you kind of, something just relaxes,
Mhm.
like you say.
And you also found Muji really helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, something about his nature was just very reassuring and calming. And sometimes this kind of no nonsense attitude he'd have with people who just like stop telling that story. It's not true. I was like, oh yeah, I feel that's so refreshing. Yeah, yeah. Um, I never got to meet him personally, but physically, but yeah, it was. definitely a major part of my awakening. Just so many hours of watching satsangs online and trying to apply what was being said.
Another beautiful being. I did ask him a question. This is when he was a lot smaller as a teacher, so it was still possible. You know, it was only, I mean, it's a lot. It was like 100 people. And I
Wow.
got up there and I was all ready with my question, and then I just broke down crying and sobbed. I was just then like, I just want the pain to stop.
Yeah. It was a really nice intellectualized question that
Yeah,
sounds good that you're ready to,
yeah,
and then you get up there and it just falls apart.
yeah. And he told this like really sweet story as I was like laid. I don't know why I was laid over a seat. I think it was in India and I was sitting on the floor like
Hmm. Yeah.
on something. And he just told this really nice story where I sobbed and it was just so soothing.
It was like that when I went to see Arjuna the first time. I was all my friends that I went with, they were just kind of leading me out of it was in a big old church. And I was like, that was so good. Just sobbing and sobbing. And not the nice crying where it just gently rolls down your cheeks, this I'm sure you know what I mean. It was just, yeah. There's something very so freeing about just being able to cry like that. I've never experienced that before without feeling self-conscious, like who's watching, this just wasn't there. There was just crying, and it was lovely.
Yeah, this path is full of unexpected miracles, to really cry, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so many miracles. Just not being able to judge myself anymore, again, like that's just freedom in itself. I never thought I would be able to live from a place where I can't judge myself or, no criticism going on. It's just really quite amazing. And even sometimes if the mind does say something, we just did an event in Barcelona and afterwards it was, what did you say that for? But it was hilarious. It was just absolutely hilarious listening to the mind rather than it would have been torturous before. It was like a stand-up comedian, What do you say that
Yeah,
for? Who do you think you are?
yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, I'm just getting more and more blissed out, and it's really beautiful gratitude energy coming up. Really
It's,
appreciating that.
mm. I'm so enjoying spending time with you and
Mm.
just the ease and the effortlessness of this conversation. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, it really is.
Very grateful. Mm.
Mm.
Perhaps one day all conversations will be like this all around the
Yeah.
world.
Oh, God, it'd be so amazing
Mm.
just to really go in and out of conversation with people. It's not meaning anything about either of you.
Hmm.
Nice. So we begin to wrap up now. So how can people contact you?
Yeah, you can access the website, helenhamilton.org. Also, Satsang with Helen Hamilton YouTube channel. I can contact us on either of those or info@helenhamilton.com email. Um, just drop us a line. We have a free satsang every Thursday when we're not on retreat or something. Over Zoom, everyone's welcome always. Just a big family.
Yeah, I'll put a link to all of that in the box below. And do you have any events coming up?
Yeah, a retreat. We have a retreat in Spain, 2nd to the 9th of May. near Madrid, just outside of Madrid. There's some beautiful mountains. We did one there last year, and it was really lovely. El Escorial. It's a lovely place, far enough away from the city that it's lovely and quiet, but only a short train ride out from Madrid centre, so it's quite beautiful. There are still a few places left there, so the retreat. Anyone's welcome to join us if they want to just dive into this silence.
In Spain, the south of Spain in May is perfect, I always find.
Yeah, yeah.
With really beautiful weather, especially
Not
for
too hot, and
yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
too hot.
especially
Yeah,
from us from the north.
yeah, yeah. I'm such a sunbather, obviously.
Yeah,
Same for you, I should think
yeah.
too.
Hat, sun cream,
Yeah,
glasses.
yeah. It's good. Yeah, it's just
Right.
nice. Retreat is lovely because it's just nice. All of us being there together. There's something very, very powerful about that.
And you do a lot of it in silence?
What we tend to do now is we will go from before breakfast to evening meal in silence. And then after evening meal, we'll have a conversation till bedtime because I found that it's just really helpful people having some time to discuss what they've seen and to share it with others. And it really builds a sense of family and community. So a little bit of silence just to help everyone sink deeper into this,
Mm.
but then some time to share and people make friends at retreat that friendships that last a lifetime. It's really quite powerful. I'm sure you've seen it too.
Mm.
A special, intimate environment somehow.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's perfect to do something like that
Mm.
because with non-duality, it's maybe different a bit from Buddhism. I mean, not saying this is non-duality, but this type of
Whatever it is.
yeah, whatever it is. But if you've got like a Buddhist organization, there may be more of a direct community. Like you go to a Buddhist center. Like so, when I was a practicing Buddhist, there were these Buddhist centers that I went to and met people. But a lot now is that people are all around the world and they're very isolated.
Yeah.
So I think that's really beautiful to meet friends on retreats, to get that sense of community.
Yeah, and then people will keep in touch with each other when they go back home, and
Mm.
sometimes people will fly out a few days before and just spend some time together, and it's really quite lovely.
Yeah.
Like I said, to someone who's on the same path and heading towards the same whatever this is is really just helpful.
Mm. Well, thank you, Helen. I really, really loved our conversation. That's so sweet. Yeah.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really, really enjoyed it.
Mm.
So easy to talk with you, and yeah, I've been really looking forward to this, and it's just been amazing. Thank you.
Mm. I just stop recording now. So thank you, everybody on YouTube. And the information of Helen is in the box below, so you can check it out. But yeah, to everyone on YouTube, yeah, lots of love and thank you.
Thank you.